Hi, thank you for tuning in to the latest Hurricane Tracker app video update recorded Sunday, June 29th at around 4:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Well, we are closely watching the potential of a tropical depression or tropical storm Arthur forming during the next few days here off of the Florida East Coast. The National Hurricane Center is giving Invest 91L a 60% chance of development during the next 48 hours and an 80% chance of development overall during the next 5 days. The center of circulation is located roughly 230 miles east of St. Augustine, Florida, and it has become better defined today, especially at the surface, but the thunderstorms are still located to the south and east of the center of circulation as it has been battling some wind shear in the upper levels. Here's a look at the latest visible satellite. The center of circulation is located in this area, and it's drifting slowly towards the south-southwest, and it's going to be entering a more favorable environment during the next 1 to 2 days, and we should see this storm strengthen into at least a tropical depression. Over the last 24 hours, the system has been battling some upper-level wind shear, and if you look at these thin, wispy clouds moving from southwest to northeast, this is showing the 20 to 30 knot winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere that have been blowing the thunderstorms away from the center of circulation. And so that's not good for organization, but it has managed to organize its low-level structure fairly well. So once the system gets east of Florida, we do expect it to find a better environment and for thunderstorms to start forming and developing around the center of circulation. I'm going to put a little low pressure area here where the center of the storm is located. And then I wanted to point out this is the upper level wind shear analysis. And you can see that we have 20 knots of wind shear located just to the east of the system. And we have 5 to 10 knots of wind shear located here just east of Florida under an upper level anticyclone, which is very conducive for development. So as the system continues to move more towards the southwest, it will find that favorable environment, and we think the system should respond over the next 24 hours. The latest tropical models have the system moving generally about 75 to 100 miles east of the Florida coast, and then gradually turning more towards the north and northeast, away from the southeast United States coast. But I would like to point out that the model consensus has the storm passing just offshore of the coastal Carolinas once we get into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So there is still some question as to whether or not we could see some effects from this storm up in the Carolinas towards the later portions of this week. The most consistent model so far with the system has been the European model. During the next 24 to 36 hours, it tracks the system southwest towards the coast of Florida, and then it puts on the brakes about 75 miles offshore, and the system begins strengthening and moving off towards the north and then eventually towards the northeast, getting very close to the coastal Carolinas once we get into Thursday and Friday, possibly strengthening into a hurricane, Category 1 hurricane as it begins to interact with the jet stream coming out of the north. And then by Saturday, the European model has this storm as a hurricane just off the outer banks of North Carolina here. So again, this is too close to call. If you are a resident or have an interest here in the southeastern part of North Carolina and even southern South Carolina, continue to pay close attention to this unfolding weather story as we move in towards the middle parts of this week. Here's a look at the GFS model. I'm going to go ahead and put this in a model. This is a look at an upper level trough that is forecasted to be moving across the Great Lakes. And I will trace out the trough here. And you can see it digging down over into the Ohio Valley. And if that does occur, upper level winds will be coming out of the southwest. And this should help pick up whatever we have down here east of Florida and move it off towards the northeast. But again, it does look like it could get very close to the Carolina coastline. So based on all the latest data, here's our forecast cone of uncertainty. Really anywhere from the South Carolina coast up through the Outer Banks has the potential of being impacted by this system towards the middle to latter portions of this week. And again, there is a chance that the system could strengthen into a hurricane. I know right now you probably don't believe that with looking at the storm, but it's very typical when tropical systems begin to encounter a jet stream coming out of the northeast. When they kind of merge together, that is a good indicator that the system could strengthen fairly rapidly once it begins to move north and northeast. We could see some effects on throughout the eastern portion of the Florida Panhandle, the Florida Peninsula, between Monday night and Wednesday evening as the storm is sitting just offshore. We could definitely see rain bands and squally weather rotating here onto the Florida Peninsula. And because of that, we do have an elevated alert status here on the east central coast of Florida, as well as from South Carolina up through eastern North Carolina. We have you guys in the elevated threat, meaning you need to be paying very close attention to the system, as there is a chance of being impacted by at least a tropical depression or stronger. And taking a closer look at Florida, we could easily see wind gusts up to 20 to 35 miles per hour here just west of the center of circulation, Monday evening through Wednesday morning. And the green arrows indicate we can have some rain bands rotating here southwest and south through the eastern portions of the Florida Peninsula. And down in the Miami area, for those of you watching in Miami, we could see some squally weather down there, but most of the heaviest squalls should be located over the Orlando area, Cape Canaveral, and even just south of Jacksonville up towards the Palm Coast. And there is a possibility that by tomorrow afternoon or evening, we could see tropical storm watches issued by the National Hurricane Center, especially if the storm does begin to strengthen during the next 24 hours. So don't be surprised if tropical storm watches are posted at some point for the east central portion of Florida. We'll be back with another video update sometime tomorrow, and of course constant updates in the app. If you don't have the app and you'd like to check it out, point your browser to www.hurrtracker.com. We have versions available for the iPhone, the iPad, as well as a web version which you can access in your web browser on your computer or your Android device. Thank you so much for tuning in to our video update today, and we hope you have a great evening.